Good afternoon. Next news. Pete Hegseth says West Point professor who resigned over Trump admin education overhaul will not be missed. Fox News. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, in a scathing ex-post Thursday, said a West Point professor who resigned from the academy will not be missed. Below are your comments. I learned long ago that no one person is ever so important that the world would cease to function if they left. That is true of the West Point instructor, and it is true of Hegseth and Trump as well. Yes, the lowest of classless minions, expressing his classlessness as though anyone cares what he thinks other than him. No competent or talented boss would ever say something like that about an employee after quitting EV. And if they thought it. But alas, here we are, staring into a bottomless pit of low lives running, or should I say, ruining the country. Hegseth, often deemed an ineffective defense secretary, will not be mourned upon his departure. That moment cannot arrive soon enough. Professor says that curriculum was changed to comport with the ideologies of the Trump administration, as opposed to that which comports to the professor's ideology. Maybe a real combat soldier's philosophy is somewhat different than a guy who never has seen combat. We are now just name-calling. I wish elected and appointed officials had some accountability to their words and actions. In this case, the defense secretary should act more professional. It is never good when educators quit. In a world full of future influencers and future sports celebrities, good teachers are getting hard to come by. I will wait for Yahoo to reject my comment. Parsons has something that no one in the MAGA Trump regime's administration have: honor, integrity, and morals. As a veteran, not affording our future military leaders a top-notch education that includes learning about the diversity of your troops' enemies will weaken our military. You will not be missed, Professor Parsons, Hegseth wrote in response to Parsons' resignation. Of course. Not. MAGA needs all of the top military leaders to be totally loyal to Trump and not the Constitution. Their loyalty needs to be realigned to obey Trump instead of the Constitution. I used to disparage OD people who resigned over this administration's actions. But it's been long enough now to know that if they don't resign, they'll be forced out anyhow. Well done, Professor Parsons, for standing up for everything that West Point, and by extension the other military academies, represents: its traditions, its principles, and its beliefs. Whenever a government decides to interfere in the education of students, particularly higher education, trouble usually follows. We could not foresee exactly what kind of chaotic trouble would come from this administration. This WH and DOD make claims about indoctrination from the left, yet here they are, as Professor Parsons said, eliminating courses, modifying syllabuses, and censoring arguments to comport with the ideological tastes of the Trump administration. Essentially, they are meddling in the education of our students, specifically military students, so as to create a generation that will fall in line with the Donald's agenda and his way of thinking. All the thumbs down responses to these comments are appalling. I have never served in the military, but I truly respect and honor those that have. We now have a TV personality in charge of our entire military. Let that sink in. His goal is not to ultimately defend the country, but to blindly serve and please one man that, by he dodged his own military duty. Hegseth has neither the brains, class, or character for the job. It's a military school, so its courses will be determined by military leadership, not a philosophy profe. SSORS ideal, but what the military wants its officer to learn. Trump and his minions are doing a great job of turning the U.S. into a third-rate nation. Right now, the only qualification that matters is allegiance to Trump. Not talent, not intellect, not the ability to get the job done, just groveling adoration to the worst president this country has ever seen. When Trump is gone, we really will need a MAGA movement because America will no longer be great or PR auspicious or irrelevant. Based on the fact that he was there 13 years and Hegseth says we won't miss him, means that yes we will. And there will be a huge gap in learning at the institution now. I would like to know what this professor was not allowed to teach. Without that information, this article, all we know is he's not a Trump fan. Pete, you won't be missed either. In fact, folks will rejoice when you're consigned back to Fox. Of course, Hegseth said he won't be missed. Philosophy teaches critical thinking. This is the same guy who fired senior JAG officers because they understand what military actions are illegal and what are legal. They don't like more intelligent and educated people. Just leave Pete. It'll look better to retire before you get fired. Just make up some excuse like a private family matter. Berkeley or Columbia might be good places to apply for a job. Neither would President Trump if something were to happen to him or if he would resign. What is there to miss? The military has been a disaster for decades. The military-industrial complex with little or no restraint has put out overpriced, ineffective, unsustainable weapon systems. This because of the conflict of interest-ridden defense contractor revolving door with the Pentagon. Then they sought out ways to effectively neuter their personnel's fighting capacity. Would anyone argue that there has been no way for the U.S. to win a war of attrition with a real enemy since World War II without resorting to nukes? Even in Korea long ago we threatened 50 nukes because Hegseth is an illness. No real training that would qualify him for what he is doing or real experience. I served 6 years and 2 tours of duty in combat and would never want him around me. Just like our school system, our military has been declining for decades. It's time for the old entrenched guard to give way to returning to the training that made our milita the best in the world. We don't need to teach wokeness. We need to teach lethality. Our military has one job, and that's to protect the U.S. It's not a social club, and those who try to make it one need to be removed. I'm sure you'll be missed far less, Pete, once you're removed from your position. Of course, it will probably be too late then. Who knows what egregious gaffe you'll have to perpetrate before finally being removed. The only guarantee is that you'll reach that bar eventually. Pray it doesn't get people bleep. Tick-tock, Pete. Neither will you be missed. It is for certain, when Hegseth leaves he most certainly will not be missed. The day may be celebrated but not for his accomplishments, just for he leaving. Sure. A selective cull of the brightest, best and most ethically fit to make room for the sycophants and rally bankrupt. Somehow, we need to teach the professors and teachers that they actually work for someone whose role is to provide guidance on what and how they do their job. Could you imagine a structural engineer sitting he did not want to follow his employer's safety and design protocol, and Hegseth is trying to out-Trump Trump. It's the only way he will be able to keep his job. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.